Here is the 2024 Hyundai Sonatas. This is the SEL in Onyx Black and the Hybrid Limited in Portofino Gray. I'm going to go over the differences between the two and their trims, comparable rivals, pros and cons, and the problem that I have with the Sonata. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and all trims will receive 5.3 inches of clearance. The SEL will start with LED headlights, daytime runnings. The lower bumper will get more aggressive when you option into the inline, but if you are thinking about Toyota, this is going to look a lot more sporty. You can option an all-wheel drive with the SEL, but not with the convenience package, whereas on the hybrid it is only configured with a front-wheel drive, and the same thing for the inline. But what's housed underneath the new Sonatas changes the configuration, because when you get into the SEL, you're getting a 2.5 liter four-cylinder producing 191 horsepower with 181 pound-feet of torque paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. All of the hybrids will have the same configuration, which is a 2.0 liter four-cylinder hybrid with a combined of 192 horsepower paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now you can option the inline, which will change it to a turbocharged, giving you 311 pound-feet of torque and 290 horsepower, but then your MPGs is going to be a lot different than what we're showing here. This is going to be at 25 MPGs for the city, 36 MPGs for the highway. The hybrid bumps it up to 44 MPGs for the city and 51 MPGs for the highway, which is the best in class compared to Honda and Toyota. But in the city, it's going to lack a little bit. But you're also getting a 6-speed automatic transmission opposed to an ECVT transmission if you were to option Toyota and Honda. But one thing to note, it is completely different than a CVT transmission. The hybrid will only be configured with a 17-inch wheel, whereas on the SEL, it starts with a 17-inch wheel, convenience package adds an 18-inch wheel, inline gets a 19-inch wheel, and the lower spoiler will flare out more, and you'll have the inline badging on the air vent that is on the quarter panel. The inline will also get the smoke chrome across the window trim, whereas both the SEL and the hybrid will get the chrome trim around all the windows, and the limited hybrid will get the pano moonroof. You can option it with the convenience package on the SEL or the inline. The rear is going to get the H-style combination LED taillights. The trunk lid spoiler will be only on the inline, but you'll still get that sporty design because of the gloss black elements. The lower bumper will still get the diffuser in between, and it'll bulge out like exhaust outlets. But when you go into the inline, it's going to get a little bit more aggressive. And when you're going back to those comparisons of Toyota or Honda, you don't have to option features when you get into the limited trim. You're going to get a standard 360-degree reverse camera, front and rear parking sensors. Plus, it's the only trim in the Sonata lineup and against anybody in its class that gives you blind spot rear view monitoring, which gives you the camera that will project in the digital gauge cluster when you use your turn signals. Quick release for the SEL and for the inline, whereas when you go into the hybrid limited, you get a power lift gate, both of which will have 15.6 cubic feet of storage with the storage net underneath the floor. Can option the spare tire, split fold the rear bench in the back, and that's going to increase the cargo capacity to either the hybrid or non-hybrid. Ten-way power seat adjustment is standard with heated front seats and 6-way manual seat adjustment for the passenger. The inline will get unique sports bolstered seats. 10-way power seat adjustment for the driver, 4-way power seat adjustment for the passenger, heated and ventilated front seats, leather upholstery memory for the driver. For the SEL, headroom and leg room. Inline will get the sport pedals. Driver focus setup is going to be on both, except on the limited hybrid, you'll get a heads-up display, Bose sound system, which you can get that on the inline. Auto-dimming rear view mirror, you can add that with the convenience package with a large panel moonroof. With the convenience package or the inline, you can get the moonroof. Dual climate control is standard with a touchpad for the climate control and for your standard heated seats. Add the convenience package, you'll get a wireless charging pad, 2 USB ports, a 12 volt, and the key fob for the SEL Sonata. And the key fob will have the auto forward and backward for the limited trim for the hybrid. Driving mode select on both will have the same Sport, Eco, and My Driving mode, except this is going to be two 12.3-inch screens. Both will have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Navigation will be on the inline. Digital key, Hyundai Pay, put it into reverse, and we get a 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear. You can also change different camera layouts here. And we have the 3D view, so you can go all around the vehicle. Whereas on the SEL, we just have a reverse camera, full trajectory. You can expand it out and you can do a tow lineup. And as for the gauge cluster, it's a 4.2 informational display. You can change the cluster theme with a 3-spoke steering wheel. It's multi-function with the paddle shifts, but the hybrid limited will get a leather wrap, multi-function, heated steering wheel. It's going to be soft to touch on both, and both will have the same storage capacity, but headroom will be different because of the pano moonroof. Legroom will be identical. Door panel and dashboard configured together, but we have the Bose upgraded sound system, which is also found on the inline. Soft to touch where it needs to be, and a long storage pocket. For the back seats of the SEL, headroom is going to be different than the limited hybrid. You'll have a lot more. Leg space will be the same, and you'll both receive storage here, except the center will add air vents. Same 2 USB ports, cup holders with armrests, with a manual sunshade that's only offered in the limited hybrid. Door panel is going to have the same configuration as the SEL, and the headroom with the pano, with the leg room sliding into the center. It's going to be a little bit more tight, especially if the seat is pushed back. Leg, butt, shoulder space isn't necessarily too bad. However, headroom for the pano becomes a little bit of an issue where you have to kind of scoop back because of the way it's designed here, in which you'll start losing some knee space. As for the SEL, leg space and butt space is going to be the same. However, the headroom starts becoming a lot better because it's a more bubbled headliner. Turn radius to start off with the SEL is going to be about 2 lanes. Let's give her a little go. Maneuverability, no problems with that either. Doesn't feel that wide or that long, and it's more or less the same configuration on the exterior of the vehicle. You're just losing some features when you just get the base trim. But what I like about the base trim opposed to the hybrid is you're still getting great MPGs and a savings, because the hybrid, it's going to be about 7 to 8 grand more than this, especially when you go into the limited trim. The SEL, unfortunately, they didn't have one on the lot. You'll save a few $1,000s. But then when you're thinking about features, is it really worth compromising when you're already at a higher price tag? It's going to take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros on the SEL is the value that you're getting overall, and you can option all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. You can also add the convenience package, which adds most of the same features as the inline, excluding the sport tune suspension, the ambient lighting, the exterior styling that's highlighted. And either way you go, unless you're going into the hybrid, you're not going to get those rear air vents. You have to go to the hybrid trim, whether the SEL or the limited. And the limited is the only one that options the manual sunshades, which when you're thinking Toyota and Honda, they don't even have that as an option. Some cons to the vehicle is when you go this route opposed to the inline, which is the only trim that gets the turbocharged, you will feel a little bit of the hesitation. But 290 horsepower opposed to 191, night and day different. Sport tune suspension, it's not really a huge difference in the configuration. The seat comfort, the bolstering, it's going to be a little bit more sporty. Here it's going to be more for the everyday drive. Some other cons is you have to option the convenience package in order to get the wireless charging pad, in order to get the digital gauge cluster, which when you go into Toyota, you're getting a standard digital gauge cluster plus the wireless charging pad. I understand it's only a few grand, but I would like to see that integrated in the base trim. But on the Pro, when you get that package, you're also getting a pano moonroof and upgraded wheels, which when you go into Toyota or Honda, that's not going to be the case. Now that's going to lead me to the big problem that I have with these two Sonatas, which they look identical on the exterior. The interior, you're just getting amenities for the price bump. And when you go into either of the two hybrids, the SEL or the Limited, you can only configure a 17-inch wheel. There's no different configuration. Plus, you're not going to be able to option the all-wheel drive system. When you're looking at Honda and Toyota, both of which will be able to option that with their hybrid powertrain. You can only get that with the SEL non-convenience, which I will be losing features, but I can't a la carte the features. So it makes it a little bit less desirable, even though the price is a little bit more attractive, because I can't get things like the wireless charging pad. I can't get the digital gauge cluster for the driver's side, nor can I get the pano moonroof. None of these things are optional. You can only take the convenience package. Now the hybrid, you're getting 1 horsepower more. It will be a little bit more engaged whenever you're pushing the gas pedal, meaning turning on the engine. So it's not going to be as quiet at the beginning as maybe a Toyota. But overall, I barely hear the engine note, but I do hear an excessive amount more of road noise. So the sound deadening could be a little bit better. The seat cushioning though is a lot better. It's a longer seat as well. So my legs and knees are not just sitting in the air. So I'm not going to be as tired for a long journey. Soft materials, you're gonna have basically the same whether you go to the base trim or if you bump it up to the hybrid, but I would say probably stay into the SEL/Limited. The Limited is going to give you a little bit more bells and whistles because you're gonna get the 360-degree reverse camera, you're gonna get the heads-up display, so I do like that you're getting these amenities. Turn radius is gonna be about 2 lanes. Let's give her a go. And then going back to the comparison, Honda and Toyota. The major difference that I feel is the Toyota is going to be a little bit more soundproof. The seats though are going to be very close to Honda and Toyota because they did reconfigure them as well. But the seat, the way you sit, you're a little bit higher up. So for tall people, I feel like I'm on the headliner, but because I have a pano moonroof, it feels like I have a larger roof. Taking me to some pros with the hybrid, not only great MPGs, but it is a smooth ride. The cons, it's noisy. I like that it does coach you, so when you're not pushing the gas pedal or when you're using the brakes, you can see the charging in your gauge cluster. Plus you can configure it, but on the con to that, you got to do it through the center infotainment screen. You can't configure it through the gauge cluster or your steering wheel. Plus we have the rear blind spot monitoring system, which will show you the cameras in the gauge cluster. No vehicle does this except for Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis. And you're getting this total package around 40 grand. When I reviewed the XSE, I had a couple packages. You're gonna be more money than this to get the same features. So by far, I feel like Hyundai has done a little bit better of a job, plus you're getting a better warranty. As for the SEL, great bang for your buck. And if you're not ready to fork out the extra dough, because it is around 7 grand more to go from an SEL base to a limited trim, you can still option the SEL hybrid. You'll save a few grand here, and then the savings difference, especially considering you probably will want to add the convenience package, will be probably about 6 months to a year of savings in gas. So it's kind of worth forking out the extra dough for the long term. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise website and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Gettle Hyundai of Lakewood for giving us these two 2024 Hyundai Sonatas, the SEL versus the limited hybrid, for our car comparison review.